Good morning, my friends. Happy Sunday. I'm here enjoying a nice green tea on this rainy, cold Sunday morning. And I hope you guys are enjoying your holidays and Happy New Year to all. But as we come to the end of 2024, this year has been, all talk about the new FCC one-to-one that goes into effect in less than 30 days. And I just wanted to give you guys an update for all of you guys that, are following up on this. And there really hasn't been a whole lot of changes other than, within the last week, a group by the name of the Insurance Marketing Coalition basically challenged the FCC's one-to-one consent. And I gotta say, it was very, very interesting. And who knows what's gonna happen. It's definitely above my pay grade for sure. But bottom line, as of right now, that one-to-one consent is going through in less than 30 days, unless the government comes in and stops it completely. Again, very interesting argument that was presented. And if you haven't looked into it, Google it. Do your research, because this affects all of us. But again, one-to-one consent is going to affect all those people that buy leads and their company's product or services are not on the consent form. And without that proper consent, you can't call somebody, especially if they're on the do not call registry. It's a no-go. But for me, I think it's a great thing, because this way, when you buy a lead, you know that you're the only person that's going to be calling, not 4 million other agents that sell final expense. Because up until now, if, let's say, for example, you owned and operated a final expense website that generated leads, you can sell me those leads, even though I don't work for your agency or represent the carriers that you work for. As long as I'm a final expense agent and I got a carrier that can do the same type of product, then I can call based on that opt-in. But come the first of the year, those days are over. And again, for me, I think it's great, because it's really going to weed out, all of those companies that were selling leads to you, to me, to everybody else. And everybody hates that. And that will reduce the amount of people that cold call, to solicit. But now let's talk about cold calling. A lot of guys, have come out here and say that cold calling's dead, that this one-to-one consent ends cold calling. And again, I'm not an attorney, but I do got a legal team that, have advised me on this issue. So again, I'm not an attorney. But the one-to-one consent, that has nothing to do with cold calling. It has to do with consent. Meaning that if I'm calling people and I don't have their permission or consent on that web form, now that's a problem. But that has nothing to do with cold calling. Because with cold calling, now you're cold calling that list of people that you have on your list. They never gave you permission to call them on final expense. So what's the issue now? Well, now you cold call, you see if they're interested in a final expense policy, and if they are, then you transfer it to a licensed agent. Now, before you transfer that call, you'll go ahead and get the disclosure of that one-to-one consent for the agent or the agency that's paying you to cold call. But what's the issue with cold calling? The biggest problem with cold calling, again, is not the one-to-one consent. It's the fact that most centers that cold call are not registered in the U.S. as a telemarketing organization. Most have not invested in their SANS membership. The SANS number is basically, the permission to check every area code in the area that you work. So if you're nationwide, you're talking about licensing of over $20,000 just to check the national DNC as well as state. Most BPOs don't have that. So they rely on the subscription-based DNC mechanisms, and most of those are not in compliance with DNC because they're not 100% accurate. That right there is a problem. For a lot of you guys, including myself, that we would buy aged leads, and under that opt-in protection, we would call these people. No longer can we do that. We can still buy aged leads, but we can't use that opt-in as any kind of defense. Now you need to make sure that those numbers are not on the do not call registry. So most of these centers are not registered as telemarketers. Big issue. Because if they miss a DNC number, violations are very expensive. Second, the automatic dialing system, TCPA, states that we can't use an automatic dialing system unless that person gave you permission prior. So you can use that dialing system, robocall, AI. So if you're cold calling and using an automatic dialing system, that right there is a major violation. And I hate to say it, but most BPOs, dialer systems, they are not in basic compliance with what TCPA describes as an automatic dialing system. Now, for all of those guys out there that are registered with the FCC for the DNC mechanism, are registered as telemarketers, and their automatic dialing system is certified to not be an automatic dialer, okay? Certified. And what does it entail? What makes it an automatic dialer that's compliant, and what makes it not compliant? Well, do the research. Again, it's the end of the year. I got a lot of videos on it. Check out TCPA World. But you got to do the research, because if what I'm saying doesn't make sense, that's the problem. In fact, that's the biggest problem. Most agencies don't train their agents, their staff, on these basic guidelines. So I encourage you to do the research if what I'm saying makes no sense. But again, cold calling is not dead if you do it right. I'm happy to say that for years, we have strived every single day to make sure that we are following cold calling guidelines. But with this new one-to-one consent, now every phone number needs to make sure that you're checking the DNC and it's 100% accurate, and your dialing system is certified to not be an auto dialer that the TCPA prohibits. So again, 2025 is going to be an interesting year, but overall, the lead quality is going to be a lot better if you got the right partnership. So with that said, give me a call if you need help, and see you guys at the top.